Let's delve in and analyse all the key matches in game week 2.
So first up is Leverkusen versus AC Milan, where they got a 1-0 victory. And Zach, what were your thoughts on this match?
Well, it was quite a close affair, 50% possession each, a very tight game, although Leverkusen did have the better chances. They had the higher XG, and they did look like a pretty decent outfit tonight. They haven't started the season off the best. Don't get me wrong, they haven't started the season off the bad. 3 wins out of 5 in the Bundesliga.
Not too bad.
Second win in the Champions League, a good result for them. But obviously, teams are starting to get accustomed to how they set up.
Yeah, of
because
course.
Last season, everybody watched Leverkusen, everybody watched how good they were, and everybody picked out their, very few weaknesses. But yeah, based upon tonight's performances, a good result for them. Boniface scoring again. He's been in great form this season, and you can't really ask for much more because AC Milan turned a corner recently. Their form was picked up, so to still beat them despite the fact they have been a bit better of late is a very good result for them. But as I touched upon briefly, AC Milan have turned a corner recently, but obviously for them it's a disappointing result. Where do you think they go from here?
Well, I mean, they've got easier fixtures in the Serie A coming up, so I do think they'll be okay in the league. But in the Champions League, they've got Club Brugge, who will punish you if you don't perform well enough, and also Real Madrid, which, as we know, is a very
Two tough encounters.
Yeah, that's a tough match. So it's difficult to see where AC Milan will go in the Champions League. I don't think they'll do particularly great, which isn't great for AC Milan fans because there's a lot of expectations at the club. But domestically, they're sitting pretty comfortably at the moment. I mean, since we last spoke about them, they were in the bottom half of the league and they won 1 all season. So they've certainly turned the corner, as you said.
A brilliant result from Arsenal, 2-0 against PSG. Don't get me wrong, PSG, they're not an elite team, but still a decent outfit. And yeah, a brilliant performance from Arsenal, to say the least.
Yeah, I think it was a fantastic result for them. Winning 2-0, obviously expected because we said that a couple of weeks ago with them being at home.
Yeah.
You would expect them to get a win in a match like this. But I do think they look sharp. Saka looked sharp for sure, getting a goal. I know it's a fortunate goal, but picking up a goal is good signs for Arsenal. Obviously, defensively, as per usual, they looked very, very solid.
100%.
But I do think PSG played into their hands because they weren't quick enough when they were on the ball in possession. They just sort of played it around super slowly and Arsenal would be able to close them down quick enough. Or Arsenal just sort of sat back, not part of the bus, but they just sort of went a bit more pragmatic and allowed PSG to sort of play it around.
Yeah.
Exactly. They sort of just, it's similar to what happened with Tottenham. They played similar where Tottenham had the ball, but they were just playing it around. Nothing was really being created. And that's
Arsenal were happy to sit off a little bit and let them have the ball because they weren't playing those penetrating passes very often.
And you've got to give credit to Arsenal for that and Arteta with his tactics. I do think that was very smart from him. But PSG did play into their hands. The only draw they did get was obviously Hakimi and Mendes down the flanks, which they could have done a bit more from them. Mendes obviously hit the post and Hakimi obviously got close as well. I think both of them on another day could have been goal win.
100%.
Well, they'd have been backing it then. But on the whole, solid performance of Arsenal, but where do you think they go next from here, Zach?
Well, they've got to play Southampton, Bournemouth and Shakhtar the next in their next 3, and in reality that should be 9 points out of 9, no questions asked. But then they play Liverpool, and that will be a tough test. Yes, they look good against City, and City are tougher opposition, but still, Liverpool will pose a threat, and that will really see where Arsenal are at, and Liverpool. It will really see where Liverpool are at as well, because Liverpool haven't really faced tough opposition yet this season. But yeah, it will be quite tough for Arsenal, but those next 3 games, they should win pretty easily.
Yeah, for sure, and that Liverpool game, as you mentioned, will be tough. But for PSG, where do they go from here as well?
Well, I did think they did look quite good tonight at times, exploiting the space down the flanks, as you mentioned, but they struggled to break down through central areas due to Arsenal's midfield and backline being so solid. They got Marseille coming up, the derby, that'll be tough for them, obviously fierce rivals, but at the moment they sit top of Ligue 1 relatively comfortably as well, and I don't think they will have many troubles along the way in the coming weeks and months.
I agree. And the other English club that performed well tonight is Manchester City in a comfortable 4-0 victory over Slovan Bratislava, and I thought once again they showed their quality, even with an injury
100%.
crisis. No Ake, no De Bruyne, no Rodri. I still thought they showed their quality. Their bench was on fire because, I mean, you looked at that bench and it's still fantastic. They still ooze quality. And once again, they showed that. But what are your thoughts on the performance overall, Zach?
Well, I think it was a pretty convincing performance, as you said. Despite the fact they did have notable absentees like Kevin De Bruyne and Rodri, they still got the job done. And Gundogan really impressed me tonight. He sort of played that Rodri role, so to speak. I think he completed about 115 or 120 passes during the match, and that's sort of the numbers you see Rodri put up. Whereas Matthias Nunes, who partnered him in the double pivot, was the one who was more advanced, getting more involved with attacking play, playing less deeper than Gundogan was. And yeah, a very convincing performance from City. Coming up, they haven't really got any tough tests as such. They've got to play Wolves, I think Slavia Prague, Fulham and Southampton or something in the next 4 games, which should be relatively easy for them. They'll face tougher tests along the way. But yeah, a very convincing performance in Europe without their big names.
And moving on to the other big results tonight, where we start off with Barcelona in a dominating victory of the young boys, winning 5-0, a Lewandowski brace. Yamal coming off early because obviously he's going to get rested because Barcelona absolutely destroyed young boys, and they did look good in the Liga, so it sort of inevitable that it was going to happen where they're going to win in the Champions League because they started off badly with a loss to Monaco, but a 5-0 victory of Young Boys is more than impressive, and also Dortmund beating Celtic 7-1, Zach.
It was a thoroughly convincing performance from Dortmund, beating Celtic 7-1. Adeyemi with a hat-trick. He is a quality player. Guirassy with 2 goals as well. Gittins underperformed ever so slightly. Wasn't his greatest performance tonight, but he's young. You're going to expect inconsistencies within his performance. But for Celtic, on the other hand,
well, it looks awful for them, doesn't it?
It does look awful for them because it doesn't really show the Scottish Premiership in a good light, let alone Celtic, because they beat St Johnstone 6-0 on the weekend in the Scottish Premiership, yet go and get demolished by Dortmund. And although Dortmund are a quality outfit, they beat Club Brugge 3-0 in the first week of the Champions League. They aren't one of the better teams in the competition. They're in the upper echelon, but they're not like your Real Madrids, Man Cities, Liverpools, Arsenals. So to get hammered by a team like Dortmund, it's not great for them at all. Not great reading for Celtic fans. And considering they beat Slavia and Bratislava 5-1 in the opening game week, everybody sort of had not super big expectations because they're not a quality side. But a bit of hope that they would sort of put up a fight against Dortmund. But yeah, that wasn't the case at all. But Inter Milan beating Red Star Belgrade 4-0. A brilliant performance for them, especially after they lost to AC Milan the other week 2-1, who are deemed as the underdogs at the moment, despite the fact they are a more historical side. But what are your thoughts on their performance?
Yeah, a great result for Inter Milan, especially after the derby loss, as you mentioned, but picking up a 4-0 win with 4 different goal scorers as well. Nothing more, well, you couldn't really ask for anything more, to be fair. Taremi also picking up 2 assists and a goal. He was on fire, but so was the whole team, and Inzaghi got it spot on. I'm not going to go over the top because obviously it is an expected win, but 4-0, there's nothing more you can ask for that. A fantastic performance at Inter Milan, and it is great going forward. But also PSV drawn to Sporting 1-0. What is your thoughts on that, Zach?
Well, obviously it's not the game that you'd necessarily choose to watch tonight, considering there were some other enticing ties, but still a decent watch. Shelton scoring the only goal for PSV. He impressed me at the Euros in the summer for the Netherlands. That's all I can really say. And yeah, a decent performance from both sides, nothing too special, and they're probably sort of even in terms of quality. Yes, PSV did dominate the game ever so slightly, but they are the home team. But in terms of the quality on paper, it's very even. And swiftly moving on to the matches on Wednesday night, and first off we have Liverpool's 2-0 victory over Bologna. And all in all, it was a relatively comfortable performance from Liverpool. Don't get me wrong, at first, Bologna did sort of stifle us on occasions during that first half, the way they pressed hard up the pitch, won the ball back on quite a few occasions. But in reality, did Liverpool really get out of second gear? No. And we did control the game well, pretty well for the most part. Gravenberch, McAllister, fantastic in the midfield, and Mohamed Salah. He is just a brilliant footballer. He is an output machine. The assist from McAllister, so good, and the goal as well. The way he placed it in the top corner, he has a fantastic talent. And yeah, a brilliant performance from Liverpool when you take into account that they weren't at their best, because the best teams in Europe get the job done when they're not playing at their best. But yeah, I'm really proud of Liverpool tonight. A very good performance from them. And next up, we have Real Madrid's shock 1-0 defeat to Lille, and this match really did surprise me because when you look at the two 11s, Real Madrid put out a very strong side. Carvajal, Rudiger, Tchouaméni, Bellingham, Vinicius. They put out a lot of their main stars, yet they just couldn't break this Lille team down. And don't get me wrong, this Lille team do have quality individuals within their ranks, but let's be real, they're not an elite side. They currently sit 5th in Ligue 1, and as we know, Ligue 1 isn't the toughest league in the world. So it surprised me that they didn't beat Lille in a game of this magnitude, because it's the Champions League, and Real Madrid are famed for being notorious in the Champions League. They're famed for scoring late goals and just getting the job done no matter what. But then again, it's the group stages, and we really do see the best Real Madrid when it comes to the knockouts, and that's where I think we'll see Real Madrid really come to their own this season, because so far this campaign, they haven't impressed too much. Yes, they've had good performances here and there, but compared to Barcelona, who have looked really good this season, Real Madrid really haven't hit that top gear. But as we know, notoriously, like I was just saying a minute ago, in the Champions League, in the knockout stages, they prevail. It's inevitable. They have too many quality players within their ranks, and they have won this competition far too many times before to crumble at the biggest stage. But yes, this was a surprising defeat for many, and yeah, very good result for Lille, considering the circumstances that they find themselves in at the moment, and considering the expectations that were upon them at the start of the game. But a game that will grab everyone's attention tonight is Villa's 1-0 win against Bayern Munich, and what a performance that was from Unai Emery's team. They defended expertly well because Bayern Munich dominated. Bayern had 70% of the ball, an XG of 1.42 compared to Villa's 0.40, and 17 shots on goal compared to Villa's 5. So in reality, who should have won the game? Bayern Munich. But why didn't they? Because Unai Emery is a brilliant tactician and set up his side expertly well to stop the Bayern Munich juggernaut. And also, they have a clinical man up top who just knows how to score goals off the bench. This guy is one of the best impact players in the world at the moment. Well, he probably is the best impact player in the world at the moment, because whenever Villa are in a bit of trouble, they go, "Oi, John, come on the pitch and score a goal." And what does Duran go? Yeah, mate, I'll do that. I'll do that pretty easily because he consistently comes off the bench and just gets Villa out of trouble. And he's not just scoring like tap-ins to win the games. He's scoring absolute rockets. Like tonight, his goal was absolutely brilliant. This guy is such an adept finisher at such a young age. He's 20 years old, yet he's producing finishers like he's a 27, 28-year-old striker in the peak of their powers. He is a fantastic player, and the sky's the limit for this man. He's going to go on to bigger and better things because he's going to be knocking on the Emery's door and saying, come on, mate, if you're not going to start me, I'm going to go elsewhere because I'm clearly too good to be sat on the bench. But yeah, a fantastic player, brilliant to watch, got a lot of strings to his bow, and Ollie Watkins is certainly going to be looking over his shoulder and going, I really need to up my game if I want to keep my spot in this team because this man is playing out of his skin at the moment. But yeah, brilliant result for Villa, and ultimately this will give them a huge boost in confidence moving forward, and hopefully for them, they can go deep in the competition this season. And these are the other two matches that caught my eye. Juventus' 3-2 win over Leipzig and Benfica's 4-0 win over Atleti. And let me tell you, Simeone is not going to be pleased with that result at all because he is a defensive-minded coach, and getting beaten 4-0 by a team which aren't a European powerhouse will certainly annoy him. But don't get me wrong, Benfica are playing really well this season. Bruno Lage has got them clicking, got them playing well. They've won 5 out of their last 5 and they're looking really good. So it's not as bad a result as it seems. And this game over here was a brilliant match to watch from a striker's perspective. Vlahovic with 2 goals and Benjamin Sesko with 2 as well. And Sesko is such a talent. He has got such a great future ahead of him.